Hey, you guys, welcome back to another episode of In the End, There's Always a Disney Guide. But before we get into today's episode, make sure you go to disneyguide.tk, subscribe to my blog and stay updated to what's going on. I've been binge watching a lot of shows during, COVID. And one of them is Big Brother. Oh man, I love Big Brother. Great, it's awesome. I enjoy it a lot. But the show is basically about, I believe 16 house guests who are selected to play in Big Brother. They join, they fight to win competitions like HOH, the head of household. And the head of household basically has the opportunity to nominate two house guests for eviction. The power of veto, which is to save them off the block. And then there are like little special, roles like, or I wouldn't say roles. The house cast trending from the technology season of Big Brother 20. Um, as you guys know, Mickey, who was the winner. This season was probably the most annoying. I was because it's like the way he played was obviously things you have to do that he had to do was very rude. Now I get you have to have a perfect social game. You have to backstab people, of course, to win the $500,000. But it's like I think what people don't realize is that when you're inside the house, you take things so much personally than you would probably ever expect. Like you take a lot of things personally. So it was pretty annoying because it was like, why would he do something like that? And I get why on like TV you would have a point of view because it's just a game. He had to do it to get to the end. But if you're inside the house, you take it from a totally different perspective when you're actually on the other side of the house. And like things that people say they plan to do when they enter the house, they totally don't do when they're outside of the house because they were probably most likely evicted when they get kicked out. So it don't really know what to expect. It's crazy. It's insane, and that's why I love the show. So I was watching Big Brother season 21, like I was saying, and of course, as I was saying, Mickey was the winner. So basically, what Tommy was, um, I believe it was the final five, and Tommy was obviously was going to be evicted because he was the next after Christy. Christy, paranoid self. She and Tommy knew each other before the house, of course. And what happened was, uh, Tommy was he didn't really have as much as hope as he wanted to. He was convinced that he was going to be evicted, but Nicole, um, the underdog, I would say, she gave him a little glimmer of hope. And then, as conversations sparked as to if they would decide to keep Tommy, it was it was being considered. It was very well being considered. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough to it wasn't enough to save Tommy because Jackson's evil self, sat there and created an entire lie that if Tommy would have won, if Tommy wouldn't have gone home, he would have threw the HOH to I think he said he would have threw the H2 Cliff and Nicole, but he would have won the veto. And I forgot how he put it, but it was something to backdoor Cliff, basically. It was going to, the plan was going to, it was going to backdoor Cliff. And Jackson was doing everything he can to make this lie seem true. I mean, he was doing everything he could to make this lie seem real. And he was going in on Tommy, and that was so wrong. But I mean, later in the show, he definitely felt bad for what he did, and he should have. He should have felt bad because he did Tommy absolutely wrong, and none of it would have happened if if there was no doubts about the plan of not keeping Holly. None of that would have never happened if they wouldn't have doubted the plan. And then they sitting here having Jackson sitting here drilling on Tommy like that. That was so rude of him to do that. Like really, really, really rude of him to do something like that to Tommy. Because Tommy did have his back. But Tommy was right. Game wise, Jackson is a threat. And he needs to be he needed to be taken down. And Nicole and Cliff couldn't see it that way for some weird, stupid reason. So when they evicted Tommy, that was a $500,000 mistake. I mean, that was probably the biggest mistake Nicole could have ever made. And then she reaped that repercussion when she won the next HOH and put up, I believe it was Cliff and Holly. And no, it was Jackson and Holly. And Jackson won the veto, took himself down, and Nicole had to put up Cliff. And Jackson was the deciding vote to send Cliff home. And it was hilarious because Cliff gonna threaten Jackson and tell him, if you send me home, once I get to the jury, I'm going to have everyone switch on you if you make it to the final two. Which was hilarious. But honestly, he deserved it because Jackson is a jack. He's a jack. He's a jackass. I'm not gonna say the word, but he's a jack. He's very annoying. And I can't lie about that. He's done a lot of stupid, ignorant, dumb things, and like I said, I honestly don't blame Jackson at all for feeling what he felt towards Cliff, because that was very rude of him. But Jackson deserved it. Like I said, he definitely deserved it. And then as far as for Tommy went home. He explained what happened with the jury. Of course, Nick felt betrayed, which he shouldn't have because he chose family over him, over him. Because like I said, Christy and Tommy knew each other from before the house. So Big Brother season 21 was a very deep season, I would say that. Let's see. And then it was down to Nicole, Jackson and Holly. Jackson and Holly made it to the final two, of course. Jackson won. It was crazy. It was insane. But basically, the point of the game is how your social game is very important when you're in this game. And like I said, from people on the outside of the TV, it's totally different from when you're actually inside, the actual house. It's totally different. You have a completely different view on how the house is and, and what's going on in the house. You have a completely different view of what's going on, basically. And I know it may seem like everything... It may seem like one way on when you're watching it on TV, but when you're in that actual house, oh my gosh. And then when they pick off your friends one by one, it's like physically and probably, mentally, emotional and depressing being in that house because you're just stuck in a bubble for 100 days or 90 days, I would say. Or 90 days. So it's very depressing to be in that house. It can be. But one thing I can and will, say about Big Brother is that your social game is very important. Like with KC. KC was the veto queen from Big Brother season 20. And KC was she was smart. She may not have a really good competition record. She was a comp beast when it came to vetoes. But she had an even better social game that resonated with everyone in the house. Versus Taylor. Taylor, oh my gosh. Everybody knows the big explosion that happened with Taylor and and Bailey. That already set him up. Bailey was the deciding vote between um Taylor and KC during the finale now of Big Brother season 20. And who did Bailey pick? She picked KC because of her social game. A social game is very important. And red flags, in speeches are also important. Like in Big Brother season 21, when Jackson was drilling on Tommy, Jackson said a lot of Brett quotes. And I forgot what those quotes were that Brett said to Rockstar when they was arguing after the eviction. I was like, I can't remember. Let me see. What was the quote that Brett said to Rockstar? I forgot what it was. What what was the quote? Was the quote that Brett said to Rockstar? Cause and I'm trying to find it. It says Big Brother, which means 21 seasons of drama. Let's see. No, not that one. Yeah, that was the saying. Just own it. Just own it was the saying that Brett said. So when Jackson was drilling on Tommy, and after the argument between Jackson and Tommy, Nicole and Cliff went to debate in another room. And Nicole was identifying some key words that Jackson said it during his drilling on Tommy, during his argument with Tommy. And he said, just own it. And Cliff was like, you know what that means. Because Nicole was like, just hearing that Brettism inside of Jackson, raised red flags, is what she said. And Cliff was like, he was agreeing with her and saying, yep, when Brett quoted "Just own it" to Rockstar after he flipped the votes on Rockstar and tried to pin it on her, and then he said "Just own it, just own it." That was a huge red flag. I mean, that was probably one of the most popular quotes in Big Brother season 20 when he was like, "Just own it." Um, it was hilarious. That was probably one of the most hilarious scenes ever. No one could forget that one. When Brett was like, "Just own it." That's probably one of the most national quotes of Big Brother. But yeah, he was like, "Just own it" to Rockstar, and he also said some other things that raised red flags to Nicole. But what got to me is that if this raised so many red flags, why didn't you do anything why did you keep Jackson and Mickey in there, even though you guys had shake hands and had your gave your word and stuff like that? Why would you keep him here? Because not only is he a physical threat, but he's a mental threat. He knows how to get in people's minds, and he did that when he was arguing with Tommy, because they still decided to keep Holly. I didn't get that at all. Like, how are you guys going to keep the person that is literally going to prevent you from winning $500,000? Because let's be real. Yes, Jackson has done a lot of things to a lot of people. He's backstabbed almost the whole house. Let's be real. He's backstabbed the entire house. But if you if that's thinking personally though, if you think game wise, this dude won 13 competitions, uh won all these vetoes. He's contributed to almost every eviction with his big alliance. He's survived the block twice without going home. He's mentally, gotten people to keep him from seeing the block. He's done a lot. He's done a lot to make it to the final two. And let's be real, game wise, he deserves to win. Personally, if you think personally, he doesn't deserve to win. Personally thinking, he doesn't really deserve to win. Um, but if you think logically, based off of his game, he obviously deserves to win. If you think based off game wise, but if you think, if you're thinking in personal, it's like basically you're saying deserve to win. Uh, Brent, inside and outside the house. So that was a genuine disconnection. But as far as for you have to learn how to separate you have to learn how to keep your emotions in check. Like with Cap, when Cap was on the block, she repeatedly kept saying that it was so annoying. I was so annoyed. It was so annoying, but it was so funny at the same time. But it was mainly annoying. But she kept freaking out, and that's what eventually got her to leave home. Because even Jackson didn't want to be around her. But if you decide to go on Big Brother, my biggest advice to you is one, keep your emotions underway. You know, try to form a huge alliance. Try to form a big alliance, because you're gonna need the numbers. You're gonna need the numbers to stay in the game. You're gonna need a lot of things to make it to the end. You're gonna have to make a lot of deals, and you're also gonna have to backstab a lot of people. But that's just a part of playing a game. That's just how it is. But also, you guys, oh, let me tell you guys about this. I don't know if y'all have done this before, but if you guys have freeze pops, it's gonna taste so good. I promise you. It may seem nasty, but it's gonna taste so good. I don't know if you guys did this, but get you guys freeze pops. I always get my favorite colors, like blue, orange, uh, green, red. Um, and what I do is I put so I get my cup. If you have a stained steel cup, you like a steel cup, it's this will be perfect for you. So you get you some freeze pops. You get you some water, not cold, really cold water, but at least a good temperature, like at least warm cold water. And get your freeze pops. You break the freeze pops up into pieces, and you put it in your steel cup. And what you do is once you a steel cup keeps the temperature very cool for a long, long time. So get a steel cup, not a like a silver cup that has a top on it, and that can keep the temperature cold for a really long time, even if it's been sitting there for like hours. It'll keep it cold for a long time. And get your freeze pop. You put 3 freeze pops in there first. I always put like at least 7 or 8. Pour some water in there, at least like a not like too much, but enough. And for the first time, then you put some more food stuff in there, like 3 more, and then pour a little more water on top of it. If you can put some more in there, and pour a little more water until it fills up like a little bit. Like don't let it get to the rising top because then it'll spill out. But like at least high enough where it'll reach to the top. And then just let it sit and let the flavor marinate with the water. And oh my God, you guys, it tastes like I swear, your favorite flavors, food top, and oh man, I swear it tastes really good. You guys gotta try it. But thank you for listening to today's episode. Goodbye, you guys. You already know.